Welcome to They Tried to Bury Us. My name is Tamer and Kattan. I'll be your host. I'm a comedian, a writer, and an actor. I was born in Egypt and moved to America when I was just a kid, so I'm very proud of being an immigrant. And ever since I started doing comedy, I've met more and more immigrants and I have found more and more amazing stories, and that's what this podcast is all about. Each week I'm going to have a new guest. They're going to sit down and share with us their American origin stories, and we're going to get to know each other better, and we're going to find out that we're all just the same. So tune in each week, tell every single person you know, and thanks for listening. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of They Tried to Bury Us. I'm Tamer Kattan, and with me as always is my co-host,
Kattan.
Hi Mom.
How are you today?
Welcome back to another episode with us.
Thank you very much.
We're glad you're here. We don't like it when you miss.
We have very nice guy today. I already in love with him because he's nasty like me.
You see, oh, that's a great introduction.
Setting the bar high.
Setting the bar high. Setting the bar dirty. Well, okay. Well, let's just jump in and introduce our. I'm so excited to introduce our next guest because he's a friend of one of my other favorite guests, and I've heard so much about you for so long. Everyone, welcome to the podcast, Farshid Rafe Rafahi.
Close enough. Rafe. You got it.
So you know what's funny? It's in Egypt. We don't say Rafe. We have Rafiq. And then we have Reef,
yeah.
and so there's so many different, in between Farsi and Arabic, there's so many
Very
names that are close but
some
different.
name. Yeah.
Well, that name has a really interesting story behind it because like most immigrants who come to America and realize very soon that they're born, given names are somewhat difficult to pronounce.
Yeah.
So a lot of us have other second names, you know, to make life a little bit easier.
Yeah, so let me say it properly.
Okay.
Farshid Rafe Farshidi.
Rafahi.
Rafahi.
Yes, sir.
See, I have a bad brain.
No worries. But the problem is that the name I picked wasn't helpful at all because nobody knows the name Rafe.
That's
so I
true.
just made my life even harder.
That's true. But sometimes it's pointless. I mean, I didn't change my name, but I always tell people it's like a hammer, but with a T. And I thought that's the simplest way for people to remember Tamer. And then this girl looked at me and goes, "Oh, it's Thamer." And I'm like, "Oh my God!"
You gotta think of every angle, man.
It was a no-win solution. But I'm really excited to have you because I've heard great things about you. You're a talent manager and a producer, and you work with your stepdad.
Yes, sir.
Who's a huge international star, Ebby.
That's right.
And those who know him, of course, know him just by Ebby. And so let's start. And we also have these crazy connections between you and I in Sweden. Like we lived in the same town in Sweden.
Outrageous.
That is really outrageous.
And now we're meeting in LA.
It's so crazy.
Small world.
From Gothenburg, known as Dark City, to LA, like the sunniest place on the planet right now.
It's the best city in Sweden.
It is the best city
Absolutely.
in Sweden. I love Gothenburg.
At least it's got the best people in Sweden.
I totally agree. Yeah. Whenever someone says I'm from Stockholm, I say "Jävla nolotta."
That's it. That's it. Right on the money.
Nolotta, right? So even in America, when we make fun of people from being from different zip codes, even in Sweden, "Jävla nolotta" means effing 08er. 08 is the area code in Stockholm.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But they're also infamous for being quite snobby. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's so funny how every country has the East Coast, West Coast kind of a tension between the places. But dude, okay, so I'm so excited to have you, especially because I love when immigrant stories also have a romantic story tied into it as well. So why don't we start there? Where were you born, and how did you get to here to today?
To sit here in the studio in LA.
Yeah.
Oh, it's.
And I'll be asking questions in between.
No worries at all. I mean, I was born in Tehran, Iran. I got the really short end of that stick because I left before being able to gain any memories or any kind of sense of being from that country. So
how old were you?
I was about 10 months when we left.
Oh, wow. So still a baby.
Yeah, so I did get the stamp born in Tehran, though. So I did get to take that with me when I left. But that's
cool.
essentially the only thing I had. And when my parents immigrated to Sweden. And that's where I grew up, and that's where I still to this day call. When I say going back home, it's Sweden now.
Yeah. It's funny. That's what I noticed on your Instagram when you said going back home, and then it was a picture of you in Sweden, and I recognized the street.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
I mean, the fact that you're doing this, and I just by fluke ended up meeting you through a friend,
right?
And from Gothenburg, both immigrants from different. I mean,
It's
odds are small.
really crazy. Yeah. I used to live on Carl Gustav's Gatan.
I'm not sure I know exactly what.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's the end of the weird coincidences. Okay, so why do you think your parents picked Sweden?
Well, at that point, a lot of immigrants from Iran were going to Sweden.
Yeah.
And I think they had a choice between Sweden, Germany, or Canada. And my uncle had already moved to Sweden. So it became like an automatic choice.
Yeah.
But truth be told, I am so insanely thankful and happy that's the choice they made, because I really couldn't imagine being raised anywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful society. I remember reading this article one time where they were interviewing children in Africa in war-torn nations. And they would ask the children, what are the biggest countries in the world? And they did it by, the amount of influence those countries had on their cultures with donations and philanthropies. And they would say like America, Russia, Sweden. Because Sweden gave so much, and helped immigrants so much. And I remember living there and being like blown away, because all my life I was told America's number one, America's number one. This is the greatest country in the world. And I'm like, okay, so no one must compare. And then I got to Sweden and I'm like, this is better. like as a college kid, especially, it was my I didn't struggle as much. The quality of education was extremely high. The people were great. Even McDonald's tasted healthy.
Absolutely, right?
Right.
That's so true.
The
All of it.
burgers tasted so good. I ate ice cream every day and lost weight.
I don't know how
Yeah.
that works, but there's something to it, what you say.
It's
Because I
very
look at my
true.
friends in Sweden, and their habits are, everything from their daily lives, their stress levels, their habits of eating and exercising. Everything is just so much healthier and better in so many ways.
Yeah.
Not to say that, there's a reason why I moved from Sweden to the U.S. But truth be told, I can't. I'll tell you this: if Sweden had better weather and somewhat lower taxes,
Yeah.
the whole world would want to go there.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And it's a funny thing, because like I think of Sweden and I look at it and I go, this is such a beautiful society. It's a place I'd want to live, but it was too small for me.
Yeah, same here.
It was too small for me. But here's the thing I like about it. Whenever people say, "Oh, America's this, America's that," I'm like, Swedes used to be pretty bad people. Now they're amazing. So we can go from going through a terrible time to being great again. Before they were selling great furniture and low price fashion, they were raping and pillaging the world. So like, people get better.
That's the whole idea, right? As a human race, we're all hoping towards. They were striving towards the right direction.
Yeah, 100%.
So, but I love living here in the U.S. But I'm getting married next month.
Oh, congratulations!
Wow,
Such
good,
a
very
beautiful
good.
girl, by the way.
Thank you,
I saw it
thank
on your
you.
Instagram like a creepy stalker.
No, she is by far the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Oh,
And-
that's awesome.
And it's not just a beauty from inside, but she's got a heart of gold, and she keeps me in check.
Amazing.
And, yeah. Anyway, so
You're making my mom jealous.
no,
right?
no, no. But
No,
but the
because
story-
this week, this is second time I heard somebody engage or
See?
propose. So we're looking for number 3.
well, third one's the charm,
See the
right?
pressure? You see the pressure?
Oh, believe me, I've been there.
No,
man.
I
I,
know,
don't
the
put
pressure's
pressure.
real.
Did I say anything? I didn't
No.
say anything.
It's on recording. We have you recorded.
It's what you didn't say.
Yeah.
It's what you didn't say. No, but the conversation is that I always try to, tell Grissel that one day I would really want to move back to Sweden.
Yeah.
Especially whenever we want to decide to start a family, because I couldn't imagine having kids raised in a better
Yeah,
place.
yeah, it's true. I have a lot of Swedish friends that they said the second largest form of immigration to Sweden is Swedes getting married and coming back.
Absolutely.
Because I remember, sometimes you go to a country and you notice something that's slightly different than the country you're from, and it takes you off guard. And for me, I remember the first time I was in the Tunnelbanan in
Okay.
Stockholm, and I came out, and the number of men pushing baby carriages.
Absolutely.
I was like, whoa, this is weird. And I was like, wait, why do I think it's weird? It was dads by themselves holding babies. And it was dads taking an active role in rearing a child. And as an American, even, it looked odd to me.
Absolutely.
You connect more when you do that.
Well, the
Yeah.
culture, too, gives you more opportunity.
Yeah.
When you're a husband, you get it's not just the wife who gets time off of work, so does the husband. And it makes sense to have stability and build a foundation in the family before you move forward.
Yeah.
Gender roles in general in Sweden are not as severe as they are in other places.
Yeah.
Even a place like the U.S., where we see ourselves as progressive and
Yeah.
we strive towards equal opportunity. but a lot of the cultural norms are still, creating that imbalance.
Yeah.
Whereas a country like Sweden, there's a lot more that allows, not to say that there is an inequality,
Yeah.
but a lot of the things that are set in place. For example, being able to take time off as a father,
Yeah.
allows you to, stabilize that relationship between man and woman.
Sure. Now, let me share something with you, and I want to see if you had a similar experience.
Right.
So when I first got to Sweden, I couldn't work legally.
Okay.
So it's really interesting for me as like an American citizen to talk about being an immigrant. I was technically I was an illegal immigrant.
Yeah,
I
you
really
just
was.
has a visa. Huh?
But it wasn't. But the thing about Sweden is because so few people are religious and get married religiously, you can have a visa based on sambo, which means your girlfriend. So I got a visa based on my girlfriend, but my girlfriend and I broke up, and I ended up getting a job at this cafe. A Turkish guy hired me,
Okay.
right? And it was Cafe Valgatan.
I know exactly where.
You know Cafe Valgatan?
I used
It's
to
on the
go there.
avenue.
I used to go there on a daily basis.
You're kidding.
I kid you
Do you know
not.
Talai, the owner?
I'm sure I've.
Such a small world. This is okay. So I was working at Cafe Valgatan, probably 3 weeks into working there, and he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey Tamer, see those guys over there?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And it was like 2 Arabic guys. He's like, "They've been sitting there for like 2 hours. Yavla Schwarzskale, all the blackheads." and he's like, "Can you tell them, let them like
Move.
go away so we can give the table to other people?" And I'm like, "Hey, by the way, I'm a Schwarzskale, and so are you."
Yeah.
And it was like, but in Sweden, that's like a racial slur.
Yeah.
Like it means blackhead. But it doesn't have as much sting as racial slurs do
Yeah.
here. But I remember at that point going, oh yeah, I'm still an outsider. Did you ever go through that? Or were you, because you were there so young?
No, absolutely. I mean, although Sweden is a country that, as you mentioned earlier, per capita, how many immigrants they accept, it's like on top in the world.
100%, yeah.
But still, especially to this day, and I think it's kind of going back like a lot of places these days. That,
Sure.
racial tensions are increasing again. But no matter how well I ever spoke the language or how Swedish I ever got, I was always a Svartskalle, and I
Yeah.
will continue to be so. And I still sense that even to this day when I fly back home, And that's one of the things that I really appreciated about America or the U.S. that I didn't feel that.
Yeah.
Not as much.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. I mean, things are changing. I remember when I was in Sweden for St. Lucia holiday,
Exactly.
it was only blonde girls. You could only be blonde. And that's Swedish tradition. It's a big, or maybe even Italian tradition, really. But it's this big holiday where it had to be a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl from the village, and it's not that way anymore. They're changing those laws. That's not even a law. It's a
The
cultural
norm,
thing.
exactly.
The cultural norms are evolving. So that's interesting that even at 10 months old, and I'm sure you speak perfect Swedish. I mean, I've heard
for sure.
your Swedish is perfect, and you still can feel like an outsider in places. And did it make you? But it doesn't make you love the country any less.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I felt like I was given amazing opportunities being raised
Yeah.
in that country, and that's why I'm so eager to go back.
Yeah.
Because no matter how, obviously as a parent, it really comes down to the parents how you raise your child. But I mean,
Sure.
it's also the surrounding atmosphere.
100%.
And that atmosphere in Sweden is so healthy.
Yeah.
My teachers in school were not just my teachers in math or science. They were my teachers of ethics and morals and how to behave. And
Wow. That's great. I
Yeah.
love that. It's a quote I used to use on my dad. It was a Mark Twain quote. And he said, "I'll never let school get in the way of my education."
That's it.
But I used it as an excuse to travel. And so he'd be like, "You better stop saying that quote to me. Get back in school."
Pretty good one.
But it is a
Yeah,
good quote.
absolutely.
You do learn a lot. So how old were you when you started looking outside of Sweden?
I honestly, when I was, I think it was 6 or 7, I watched Home Alone 2.
Wow.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Is
Yeah.
it-
and at that age, I remember going up to my mom and asking, "Mom, why aren't we American?"
Wow.
And I remember my mom was cooking. She stopped. She pulled the pan aside. And she's like, "First of all, you should always be proud of the fact that you are Iranian.
Mm.
Now, if you want to move somewhere, you're more than welcome to go."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, so I'm moving to the U.S."
That's
And
a very wise mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
no, absolutely. She
The
was
fact that she would even, there's too many moms that wouldn't stop.
yeah.
That wouldn't stop and make eye contact and punctuate the point that you should be proud of where you're from.
I'd never forget that moment in my life.
That's
But,
amazing.
yeah.
Isn't that crazy? These little moments that that are burned into our brains that moms may not realize.
Yeah, but
this
that's
is just
your
a few
blood,
seconds.
you know. That's your
Yeah.
blood. And Iran, a great country. You know, we used to, the Shah Iran, he was married to Fawziya.
Exactly.
She's Farouk's sister. And all Egyptians, they do their hair like her.
true.
Oh
No,
my
no, it's
goodness,
true.
with the
It's true.
fashion.
Wow.
Yeah.
She was like
Everybody-
Jennifer
yeah,
Aniston
yeah.
on America. Everybody
They
copied
try
her haircut.
Iran style, hairstyle.
No,
So it's a great country.
Yeah.
Before the Shah, after Shah, everything go down.
Exactly.
Down, down, down. You know,
Until
so.
it goes up again.
Yeah.
Hopefully
I hope
that-
so.
I hope so too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hope so. It's a
It
great
happens.
country.
It's funny. It happens to a lot of countries. Like, it's also funny too. Like, if you turn countries into people, America would be a teenager saying, "I'm different than you," and it scares me because there's too many times where teenagers become the people that they're saying they're nothing like. You know, and I see stuff happening even in America where I'm like going, "Oh, this is scary. This reminds me of stuff that's happening, you know, that happened back in the Middle East." And it might be just that maybe the difference between the Middle East and America is that the Middle East is much older.
For sure.
And this is what happens with societies. Like, corruption starts to get to a level where it starts to get out of control. And that's why it's so important for us to vote and make sure that corruption is not okay.
Yeah.
Even if it's on your side.
Exactly.
It's not
Yeah,
okay.
not
It's
okay.
unhealthy for us as a country in the long term. So very early on, you're looking outward from
Oh,
Sweden.
absolutely.
Even though you loved it, you had
I think my love for it wasn't as apparent when I was younger.
gotcha.
Definitely something that developed more throughout the years when I actually moved to the U.S.
Yeah.
You know? And this sentiment that I now have that I want to go back, this is really recent. This is the
Wow.
last 2-3 years when I'm finally realizing that, oh, I want to start my family.
Yeah.
And although all those things that I came to the U.S. for still exist, I mean, exactly like you said, I felt Sweden was too small for me. Gothenburg was too small for me.
Yeah.
And I wanted a place where I could run after my dreams, whatever that might be, or whatever that might entail.
Yeah.
And I knew that the U.S. would allow me that platform to do it.
Yeah.
And it really has. But,
That's great.
But now that's no longer my main objective.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm just lucky I still have my Swedish passport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you eventually move to America?
I moved to America after high school. I took a year off, and I was actually supposed to start college. And I was spending a summer in Spain with my buddy working, and you know, wasting time until college would start. But I met this girl, and fell in love, which I thought, and I decided not to go to college. And she was moving to England, so I was like, I'm going to move to England with her.
Yeah.
And that was a very interesting phone call with my parents. At the end of summer, my mom was calling me. She's like, "College is starting in 2 weeks. Aren't you going to buy your ticket?" And well, I said, "Mom, I've decided I'm not going to college. I'm moving to England with
Wow.
this girl." And yeah, that conversation ended with my mom hanging up the phone and canceling all my credit cards, and
Oh, wow.
I was left alone with my girlfriend, who I had to borrow money from to buy my ticket to
Wow.
fly over there. Stayed there for 6 months. You know, borrowed another $100, wrote my first resume ever written in an internet cafe, and literally walked out of that internet cafe. I handed a resume to the internet cafe guy first, and then started handing him out. Worked there for about 6 months and realized that life without a proper education and a good job is going to be really tough.
Yeah.
You know, and I packed up my bags and moved to Oregon, where I went to college.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then you ended up, was Oregon the plan?
Oregon was a plan. It's funny because the school I went to, it's a small, tiny liberal arts college up
Yeah.
in McMinnville, Oregon. So
Wow.
you can, just judging from the name of the town, McMinnville, you can imagine it's
Yeah.
a town of 30,000 people, an hour south of Portland. And the most common question is, why this school?
Sure.
And I had actually, 2 of my uncles were alumni, and one of my uncles still works till this day at the library at the college.
No way.
Yeah. But for me personally, I knew myself at that point, and I'm tapping myself on the shoulder today, because I knew that if I would go to college in a place like Los Angeles or New York, there wouldn't be much studying going on. So
Yeah.
that was probably one of the best decisions I've ever.
I think so many kids, like when they're going to college, they're like, what's going to be the party school?
I mean, true,
And then
but I
it's-
mean,
it's
it's
what you
also,
do.
but it's also the background. I mean, imagine by the time I got to college, I was already 19. I'd already worked in a nightclub for 3 years in Sweden. These kids were super excited about being able to drink beer.
Yeah.
for the
You've,
first
Yeah.
time.
you've already been
Freedom.
doing it.
And
Yeah.
I've been, you know,
Because Sweden, you can drink much earlier.
I mean, we started, average starting age is about 14, 15 in Sweden.
Wow. Yeah. So which nightclub was it by the
Lounge.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, yeah.
So weird. So weird. Okay, so what about, were you an only child?
Well, technically, I was an only child with my own parents, and I
Yeah.
grew up. I got again shorter end of that stick because I grew up alone until my mom met my stepfather, who's Ebi, and through Ebi, I got 3 stepsisters. And at this point,
Amazing.
I'm 10, so and they live in the U.S. and I live in Sweden. So really, that relationship did develop more when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And then my dad remarried. And through his relationship, I now have a younger brother and 2 younger sisters.
Wow.
With the age gap of between me and my brother is exactly 20 years to the day. He's born the day before my birthday.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
today I have six siblings.
6. Yeah. Which
like-
is great.
It's like the United Colors of
Yeah.
Benetton meets the Brady Bunch.
Exactly. And I mean,
great.
I'm totally ecstatic about the fact that I have siblings now, and I just wish I had them during the first 10 years when I had nobody to play with. You know?
Sure. Yeah. I was that way. My mom
Yeah.
always jokes around that I ate my siblings. But
Yeah.
I was an only child too.
Yeah.
So how did your mom and Ebi meet?
Well, that's we lived in Gothenburg, me and my mom. Single parent. My dad at that point still lived in Sweden, and my mom was always a big Ebi fan since she was a teenager.
Yeah.
And Ebi had a concert in Gothenburg, and she went, and he spotted her from the crowd.
Wow.
Wow.
And then he got off stage and he asked one of the promoters, like, who is it? Does anybody know her? And funnily enough, one of the promoters was my mom's employer, because my mom at that point was a student. She was a university student, but at night she worked as a blackjack dealer. And this guy owned a restaurant where she used to work. So he got her number and he called her, and she was obviously like,
Amazing.
caught off guard.
Amazing. Yeah.
And then that was it until the next time he came back. He came back throughout the year and a half that went by. He called once in a while.
Yeah.
And then next time he came back to do another concert, he invited her to the show, and she went with my aunt.
Wow.
And yeah, I guess the rest is history.
Amazing.
Wow,
That's so
yeah,
cool
it's
that
a
he's.
great story.
It's literally spotting someone at the end of a crowded room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
That'll
absolutely.
show you
That's
your
so
heart.
cool.
Boom.
So then, how did life change for you? Did
Oh my
you,
God.
or did you guys stay in Sweden, or was there plans to?
No, we stayed in Sweden, and about a year and a half. Well, life definitely changed. I mean, imagine that I'm a young kid living with my single mom, who's a student, works nights, and we live in a suburb outside of Gothenburg called Frölunda.
Yeah.
Very immigrant heavy.
Yeah. I used to smoke hookahs there.
Yeah, exactly. So Gothenburg, like most European cities, have suburbs where more of the immigrants live.
Sure.
And that's where we lived. And that's where I grew up. And obviously, when we moved, which we did about a year after they met, my school changed, and yeah, everything changed.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, everything changed. And
Was that a
soon
hard
after-
adjustment? Did you feel?
It definitely wasn't a difficult adjustment in the sense of where I came from was a much tougher environment.
Sure.
And this was a much more mellow environment.
Yeah.
And I always, as a kid, because we did move around a lot, I had the ability to adapt.
Yeah.
Which at
That's
that point
such a
must-
gift that people
No,
don't realize.
absolute-
It really is a
absolutely.
gift to be able to
Absolutely.
adapt.
And that's the thing. I mean, as a parent, you want stability for your children, and I see a lot of parents that like, oh, I can't move my kid, and I see how that's disruptive.
Yeah.
But it definitely equips kids with tools, and I mean, really, that equipped me with a lot of tools that I still use today.
Yeah.
As a person, as a human being.
Yeah.
How to develop new relationships, how to manage awkward situations. But what really changed more than anything else was that I went from the suburbs to the middle of town and middle of the city of Gothenburg,
Yeah.
where it's mostly Swedish people, mostly
Wow,
not as many immigrants.
It's such an interesting thing that a lot of times people don't think about. When you're an immigrant and you move to a new country, or you move to a new part of town, upward mobility is almost directly associated with moving into a wider community.
Absolutely.
And we don't think about that sometimes, but like how sometimes it makes you feel weird. You know, it makes you feel like I'm an outsider in this new world.
Mm-hmm.
Or I know some of my friends even changed their names at those points, you know, where they'd give in to the pressure or change their names. Or suddenly I had certain friends who were more Middle Eastern than now we're saying I'm Italian. I'm like, you're not Italian. You know what I mean? But you can have culture shock in your own country.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, especially in a place like Sweden.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that mentality as a svartskalle or as a foreigner, and svartskalle, for those who don't know, it means blackhead, but it's really the term that's used broadly for all immigrants. I mean, Middle Eastern, black, doesn't matter. Even, I mean, Polish people or Hungarian people who are not even that dark, but they're foreign.
Yeah.
Automatically end up in that category.
So true, yeah.
But as an immigrant, you always have this sense that you have to work twice as hard to prove yourself because you already have this thing. Oh well, he's a foreigner, so he's not going to be as smart, or he's not going to be as good, or he's not going to fit in as well.
Yeah.
And that's definitely still, you know, at the age of 33, that I can still see how the effects of that manifests in my personality.
Yeah. You know, I had this really trippy moment in Gothenburg where there was a club on the avenue called Valand.
Oh, exactly.
You know
Yeah,
Valand?
absolutely.
And my friends, there was a point where the bouncer at Valand liked me because he knew me as this American guy who could speak a little Swedish. And when I spoke Swedish with an American accent, my friends would be like, you know, come with us to Valand because we'll cut right to the front of the line. It was as if I was a celebrity because I was an American immigrant. But one time we went, and it was 8 months later, different bouncer, and now my Swedish was so good, I sounded like I was from Gothenburg.
Exactly.
And then so I walked right up to the bouncer. The guy it was a different guy who didn't know me, and I started speaking Swedish, and he just like completely blew me off. And I told my friends, they're like, you idiot, he thinks you're a refugee. Tell him you're American, just speak English.
Exactly.
And I went back up and he literally apologized
That's hilarious.
and pulled us into I was an American getting Swedes into a club by being American.
Now you want to hear something even crazier?
Yes.
Because I came here a lot. I mean, my English was always pretty good because I've watched a lot of American TV. But then at my throughout my teenage years, I came to the U.S. a lot and developed my American accent. I used to speak as an American.
Wow.
Getting into clubs.
Yeah.
Because if I go to Stockholm, I would just pretend I'd be American, and that would automatically open all doors.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Yeah,
so
out of-
crazy.
Yeah.
Now there's going to be a whole bunch of Americans going to
I'm
Sweden.
telling you. Swedes definitely do have this, although they're very critical to our political system that we have here, especially today. You know, but they do have a crush on the
Yeah,
US,
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Definitely. I remember there was, I do stand-up comedy, and there was a time where myself and a British comic just finished a show in Stockholm. There's a raw comedy is what it was called. And it was, I can't remember where it's called. It was in Stockholm, but I don't remember where it was exactly. But myself and a British comic came off stage. We were standing at the bar, and the Swedish girl comes up to us, and she says, "Oh my God, I love your accent."
That's it.
And before I could say anything, the British guy goes, "Oh, thanks, love." And she goes, "Not you." And he goes, "What? Are you kidding me? That? You like that?"
That's hilarious.
And she goes, "You sound English. He sounds like he's on TV." And I was like, ooh,
That's it.
that's super interesting. Like, even as a comic, my British comedian friends who come to America, they have to write new material.
That's hilarious.
They can't make cultural references. I am shocked at the number of cultural references I can make that everybody still gets.
Absolutely.
That's the real power of America, is the power of art, American art, music, TV, film.
it.
That's the real influence of America.
And sport.
And sports.
And sport.
Exactly. And so it kills me when people are talking about taking away money from the arts programs and spending it on military. It's like, no.
No.
Like, one of the things that also keeps us safe is people actually liking us
Absolutely.
and liking our culture and appreciating the culture. So would you say that period of time, when was the toughest period of time for you in Sweden, as far as not feeling like you fit in?
Probably when I was younger, because I couldn't really understand what's happening. Like, why am I being treated differently?
Yeah, because you
know?
probably didn't even realize that you're any
Absolutely.
different than anybody else.
Absolutely. I mean, I mean, you do realize, but it's hard for you to comprehend the reason behind it. You know,
Yeah.
like, okay, so what? I'm different. So what?
Yeah.
You know. So I think those first years were definitely a lot more confusing.
Yeah.
And then once I realized how the system works, I learned how to play it.
Yeah.
You know, and how to survive and how to adapt and how to move forward.
Sure. It's crazy. Like, I remember going through that same experience where I was a kid and had a thinner definition of reality. So I just knew that's my friend Carlo, that's my friend John, that's my friend Michelle. And then I had my high school reunion, and all of a sudden their last names had a nationality.
That's it.
And I'm like, oh, that's my Italian friend, that's my French friend, that's my German friend. Before, their names didn't have a flag
At all.
on them at
At
all.
all.
And
No.
we were all just people.
Or just religion. I remember when I first time I realized that one of my very good friends is Jewish, and I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? And I mean, imagine we've been friends for like 6 years.
Wow.
And like, I don't, I was like, okay, so what does that mean? Somebody's like, oh, did you know he's Jewish? I was like, okay.
So what?
So what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah. I remember in America, it was hard for my dad because my dad was Muslim and my mom's family was Coptic Orthodox and had
Jewish.
Jewish in it as well. So we had all three major religions. And I remember, like, I had like one of my best friends growing up was this Jewish kid. And then my dad found out. And my dad was like, after my mom walked out of the room, she goes, "Don't trust him all the way." I'm like, what do you mean? What does that mean? But he just had he grew up with a different experience.
Yeah.
Like just a completely different experience. And he's still one of my best friends.
Yeah.
But it was, it was funny. So, okay, so now you're in Oregon, you graduate, so you're in America, but you're in a small town in America.
I'm in a small town in America, and I am prepared to move out of there and move down to LA, and that's literally what we do. And Wes, who's sitting right there,
Hey, Wes.
we
It's so quiet.
He's not on the podcast, Mom. Look at my mom is berating Wes for
Why is
for
so
being
quiet, Wes?
quiet.
Speak up. We say hi. No,
literally
speak up.
we graduated, and I think Wes literally left the following day after graduation. I waited out my hangover and then left the day after that, and moved down to LA. I mean, at that point, we set our goals to move down here long before.
Yeah. Did your mom know that you were gonna?
Yes, and she was happy because my parents, literally the day after I graduated in Sweden, they moved to Spain.
Oh,
They
wow.
were just waiting for me to finish. And
They're
I'm
like, let's get some warm weather.
Exactly. So they spent so their living situation was essentially split between Spain and Los Angeles, which is essentially the mecca for Persian music.
Yeah.
Tehrangeles, right? A million
Yeah.
Persian
Yeah.
live here. So they were really happy about the fact that I'm moving down to LA. Obviously, at this point, I think I'm 23. Very influenced by the show Entourage that plays out in LA.
course.
So Wes and I managed to convince 2 other fraternity brothers to move down with us so we can replicate that, the
Yeah.
best possible.
That's great.
Moved down to LA and just started. But I must say, at that point when I graduated, I was dead set that I'm going to law school. The idea was never that I'm going to end up in the music industry. So I was going to move down to LA, work for a year, and then go to law school. And
Yeah.
I was like Harvard, Yale, or some Ivy League school, and that was my goal since I was a kid.
Wow.
And at that point, my mom had been managing my stepdad for a good 15 years.
Wow.
And she was, she needed a hand. Business had grown.
Because Ebi has, for those that don't know, I mean, I have some Iranian friends. When I mention your dad's name, they go crazy. He spans across multiple generations of Iranians too. It's not just the older generation; it's the younger generation. He's got an amazing voice, but he's also done he's taken political stances and stood up for women. He's done a lot of amazing things.
Absolutely. I mean, he's more. It's hard to understand as really. Iranians are the only country where the main popular music and the biggest artists are actually prevented to go to their country. There's no other country where you have that.
It's crazy.
I mean, 80 million or 85 million Iranians are out of our reach. We can't perform to them. We can't legally they don't have access to our music. So he represents more than just an artist. He's also a symbol for something much more. And that's so visible, especially when we do concerts in the Middle East. And usually when we do concerts in the Middle East, it's for Persians who can travel from Iran. So we only do them throughout the summer when there's summer vacation, or during Persian New Year, which just ended, which is at the end of March.
Nowruz, right?
Nowruz, exactly.
yeah.
So happy Nowruz, by the
Happy
way.
Nowruz.
Yeah.
And these people travel, travel long distances just to see a concert. So I mean, imagine you had guys my age or younger than me, and as soon as they see him, they crumble. They cry and they fall to his feet. And it's not just because they love his music; it's because he stands for something that
That's so beautiful.
Because
I
in
remember,
Iran, they cannot speak up about anything right now.
well, the government's gone through some pretty drastic
You cannot
changes.
speak up.
Yeah, it's scary. It is a scary thing, and when you see someone using their platform to say something that you can't say, it makes you love that person that much more.
Yes.
Like there was a guy who described your dad. He said, he's all like in Egypt. Think Kulthum, which is like this massive singer.
Massive,
He goes, meets Muhammad Ali. and like in terms of like standing up for people and saying what's right and being courageous. And I'm like, what a combination. That's really amazing. And I'm sure your mom must have been insanely in need of help, because these aren't small shows that you guys do. These are massive.
For sure. And obviously, I mean, my mom was a game changer in the whole industry. She was a disruptor. I mean, at that point, there was no women. There was no women in the industry doing her job at all.
You know how I've never heard someone say, my mom is a disruptor.
Oh, my God.
That's amazing.
Yes. Yes.
So how was she a disruptor in the industry?
I mean, she changed everything. She really set the platform up. Everything that we're doing today, and really in the last 10 years, our business and our shows and everything has increased and has grown because our team has grown. But at that point, when she started it, there was nothing, and a lot of the people that she was dealing with were legitimately dangerous people. I mean, a lot of the promoters were gangsters.
Yeah.
Because I mean, imagine who in Europe has cash flow, as an immigrant to run a concert. It's usually either big business people who have other businesses and they're busy with that, or they're in the criminal world and they have a lot of cash and they need to clean it. Yeah. And that's how this business started in Europe, like 20 years ago.
Wow.
30 years ago, actually. So, I mean, imagine, I remember as a kid seeing my mom dealing with some people that, I mean, like, some of them don't even have necks, they're like, the ears are connected to the shoulders.
Yeah, like scary
looking guys. And at that point, it was, as an artist, making sure you got paid, making sure that, it was...
Strong women.
Oh, absolutely.
Strong women, because also it's almost like the type of love, I mean, she's there
love
with
and a strong woman.
Yeah, she's there with the man that she loves. Yeah. She's not just a regular manager.
And she cleaned up. I mean, she, one by one, systematically, she got these people out,
I could see it too. Like when I looked at your Instagram, I'm like, it's not a team, it's a family.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you got even the words that your father wrote, like, and the words that you wrote, like it really feels like a family. And that, would you say that's your mother's influence?
Absolutely. I mean, it also comes from Ebi himself.
Yeah.
He never says, for example, when he introduces himself, he's not like, we're a band. I just happen to be the vocalist of this band.
Amazing.
I can't do my job without my drummer. The drummer can't do his job without
teamwork.
the sound. Exactly.
Teamwork. Yeah.
And that mentality trickles down towards everyone that works. And literally today, our team is 40, 50 people, and there's not a single person that I don't fully and completely trust.
God, you're so lucky.
Oh my God,
you're so lucky to have a team like that.
Yeah.
Your mom is a hero.
Yeah, must be control it with love.
That is, I think we need more women in powerful positions.
Love make a big difference in life, Love,
it's like, you know what it's like? It reminds me of like living as a bachelor and then having a girlfriend move in. You're like, oh my God, my life is so much nicer and cleaner and better. and I'm more organized and she motivates me. And then,
Of course.
Yeah. Claire just gave me her to
women make big difference in men's life.
Oh my God.
Especially if in love. I mean, when you have, like you said something, I like it, you said about your fiancé, gold heart. And that's the most important thing. Not the look or anything, you need good heart. That's important.
That's what my mom's been beating into me since I was like in 7th grade.
Gold heart,
All that matters is the heart.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the thing in between the boobs?
Yeah.
I thought you said you don't do boob jokes.
I don't do boob jokes. So this is a perfect segue, actually. So now you must be going, like a lot of times the way I break up the podcast is I ask people, where were they from and what was the toughest time? And then we always like to end on like, what's been the best time of your life? I don't want to be presumptive to assume you're coming into the best time of your life, but it sure sounds like it.
Absolutely, and on so many levels, it's pretty crazy actually, because my stepfather Ebi just last night did his last show of his final world tour.
Wow.
Yeah, and I obviously always knew that
Last show?
he's not going to retire from
Yeah.
doing shows ever. He loves the stage more.
Of
He's
course.
never going to be able to do that, but he's going to stop touring. We do 30,
It's
40.
hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I always knew that this day would come where he's going to, tone back, and I need to, go on my own path.
Yeah.
And that happened to be exactly now, and I'm getting married next month to the
Wow.
most amazing woman I've ever met.
That's great.
And,
Where you met her?
I met her right here in LA, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I
So
met-
she's American.
You
she-
hear
no,
that?
She's Mexican.
Oh,
Right
wow.
on.
They are great with love.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
They love hard and work hard and good family
Well,
people.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hear that, all you single people in LA? It happens.
Yeah, it
So
does.
you found love in
Yes.
LA.
I did. I
Yes.
did.
This
It
is
does happen.
this is
Yes.
practically blasphemy.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Love in LA?
That's
Yes.
so funny you say that, because people say, "Oh, you can't find a relationship in LA." It's like, no, you can.
You
I
Of course you
can.
can.
I think
Yeah.
you're looking at the wrong places. You just change your perspective a little.
Sure.
Yeah.
So how'd you meet?
This is gonna sound weird, but at a club, but it has a backstory. Again, Wes is involved in this story as well.
Attaboy,
Oh,
Wes.
my
Yeah.
God, Wes.
Yeah.
I'm finding a pattern here.
Yeah, exactly. No, Wes and I studied in Hong Kong. We studied a semester in Hong Kong, and there was a lot of international students, one of whom was an American student from Pepperdine.
Oh,
And we became really good friends, and once we had graduated, Wes and I moved to LA, and we were now going to meet Fabi. And she called, we were texting, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going out with a couple of friends. Why don't you come out and meet us?" And I said, "Oh, well, it was great, because I'm here with Wes, and another one of our friends are visiting. So there's three of us, there's three of you. Okay, we'll meet you at the club."
Yeah.
And we get to the club.
Sounds very Swedish, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Isn't that's
Yeah,
the way?
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
way people date in Sweden.
Absolutely.
There's three of you. Here comes three
Yeah.
of us. We'll meet you there.
yeah.
So we show up to the club. We, for some reason, leave our buddy outside. He's on the phone or something, I think. So Wes and I walk in. We say hi to Fabi. And he's like, "Oh, Fabi, where's your friends?" And she points over there. Grissel turns around, and literally right there on that like on the spot.
Wow.
And me and Wes are like, "Dibs, dibs." You know? and then we go up and say hi. And then in the midst of this, Eric, our buddy, who's now standing outside, he calls it like, "Oh, Rafe, I'm outside. Can you come and help me get in?" And I'm like, "Oh, Eric, I can't really hear you. Here, talk to Wes. Talk to Wes." I hand the phone over
great.
to Wes. And I was like, "All right, ladies, let's go have a drink." And the rest is history. The night ended with Grissel throwing up in my hands.
Oh,
What?
Yes.
Amazing.
What?
I mean, we were drinking, we're dancing, and at some point she's getting dizzy, so I sit her on a
Stool.
There's a platform and there's a booth, so I sit her at the corner of the booth, and all of a sudden she leans forward, and I'm thinking she's gonna pass out or falling. So I go to catch her, and I literally held my hands like this, and she uses it as a bowl.
Oh my
She
God.
uses this as a bowl, just throws up in my hands.
Oh,
and
wow.
now I'm standing in the middle of the club.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, what do I do with this? I can't just drop it on the floor. So now I'm walking through the club. It's like, "Excuse me."
Oh my
God. I need to the bathroom.
You are a very
Oh my
good
God.
man.
You're definitely a
Yeah.
sweetheart. If you're like,
Yeah.
I can't just put this throw
Yeah.
up on the ground that's sitting in my hands.
So now you know I'm into kinky stuff. So
And you're gonna change your kid's diaper very easy. Is the diaper
Oh
no
my God.
problem?
I mean, I've had some practice now. I guess.
I love it. I've had the best mom in the world.
Yeah.
No other mom would say, all other moms would be like, "Let's stop at barf." Mom's like, "No,
take
I'll
it next
see your barf and I'll raise you poop."
Yeah. If he did that, that's a great
This is
man.
amazing. Do you see how
Yeah.
amazing Middle Eastern moms are? That they can take a story about a woman in a nightclub barfing and somehow magically connect it to having a baby.
Yeah.
How do you connect everything to having a baby?
That's love here. He take her shit in his hand.
Now it's shit. Now it's shit. Amazing.
Grissel's gonna kill me.
This is
No, she's great. No, she's a great woman, and you are so relaxed,
Oh my
and
God.
she did it front you, so it's good. Maybe she did it on purpose to
You-
try to
Maybe.
see,
Oh my God,
maybe
I didn't catch
to
that.
test it, you know.
Amazing.
Yeah, exactly. How committed is this
Yeah,
guy?
yeah.
She's like the head of Egyptian TMZ, just spinning fables.
No, that's a great story, by the way.
So how did you go from that to what was the first sober interaction?
Well, this got worse actually. I went. We got her home,
Uh-huh.
and then I obviously never got a chance to get her number or anything like that. So I had to. Back then there was no Instagram.
Was there any
Facebook.
romance like on before?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you guys were
Absolutely.
having a great time.
And we're having too much of a great time.
Gotcha.
You know, and so I had to Facebook stalk her and find her on Facebook, and that's what you did back then.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
And
Actually, you caused her to throw up because you have too much fun.
exactly.
Yeah.
I had to take some blame in that.
Yeah.
Now, funnily enough, next time we went out, I got sick.
Oh, what?
Yes, so we go out again. We go to an after party at her friend's house, and they're all smoking weed. So I'm already buzzed. So now I'm smoking weed, and now we get crossfaded.
Yeah.
And I'm the new guy in the gang. I'm the new guy in the gang, sitting there, and they're all clapping like, "You should dance." And I'm like, "Oh my God, what is happening? I need to get out of here." So I left. And then I texted her next time saying that, well, you ruined our first date, and I ruined our second, so let's give this a third shot.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
It sounds like a date. It sounds like the way supermodels would describe dating. On our first date, she threw up. On our second date, I threw up.
Well, I didn't throw up. I just bailed.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's a great story.
So how did you know? How did you get to the point where you said, "This is the woman I want to marry. I'm ready to ask her"?
Oh my God, we've been dating for 9 years.
Wow!
Wow,
Congratulations.
yeah. Wow,
well, I mean,
great.
just 9 years just last month actually.
Yeah, that's too long.
That is a
Yeah.
long time.
Way too
Look at-
long.
See
you
how
know.
immediately she turns on you?
Yeah, I know.
Just like that.
I thought we were in the same team.
I know.
Same
She
team,
just turned on
but
you. Amazing.
hey, I support women. I'm sorry. I raise a man, but I support women.
That's it. That's the only way.
Yeah.
No, but we did things a little back. We did things Swedish, the Swedish way. She's she's Mexican, and she was raised in Mexico with that heritage, and moving in with each other prior to marriage is obviously not accepted by social norms. But
Sure.
that's why we did it. We moved in together. We lived with each other, and to be honest. I wouldn't imagine doing it any other way,
Yeah.
because the day when I asked Grissel to marry me, the day before her 30th birthday, actually.
The day before.
Literally, yeah. So with the party, she thought everybody was there for her 30th birthday.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So.
That's very
but-
sneaky.
Yeah, I mean, I'd been waiting for 8 years or 7.5 years at that point, so I had to, make
Yeah.
up for it. But there was absolutely no doubt. We've lived with each other. We've
You know each
supported,
other
we've
well,
supported
yeah.
each other. We've gone through really, really, really tough times together.
Yeah.
And to be really honest, I think if we would have gotten married earlier, we might have not been together today.
Yeah.
But the way we did it allowed us. We grew up together.
Yeah.
I mean, I've spent almost a third of my life with her at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we're getting
You
married
know,
next
I'm
month,
a Middle East woman.
Yeah.
And to live with some guy, no, but I agree 100%. You need to live with a woman you choose before you marry, because you learn about each other and you learn how to accept or fix your problem together, and then you start a clean life together. And this is very, very important. Bullshit, don't live with a guy before you married. That's ridiculous. You need to know him well, and then you commit. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, it forced us to learn from each other and become the people we wanted the other person to be.
Yeah.
So now when we're getting married, I definitely for myself feel like I'm a much better match for her today.
Yeah. Yes.
But if I would have possibly gotten married to her 5 or 6 years ago, I would have said, "Oh, this is me. This is who I am. You don't like
Yeah.
it, then let's get a divorce."
Yeah.
And what an amazing number
Yeah.
of countries you guys touched, and cultures you guys touched, and experiences you guys had before you finally decided to start cooking.
Absolutely.
You went out and grabbed all these ingredients from all these different places, and then found each other, and then started it. Now you can cook
Great.
together.
Yeah.
And the way I always try to see it is that we pick the best from each.
I love
Yes.
I mean,
That's
Yeah.
great.
obviously, I'm sure some of the bad. I mean, I definitely know some of the bad also comes with it, but really, it allowed us to cherry pick a bit.
Right on.
But listen, nobody's perfect. You always have the good and bad together. You mix it together and shake it well.
That's it.
You will be great.
That's
Yeah.
it.
So you
That's
guys, so America is really like coming here is how you met the love of your life.
I've made all my dreams come true.
And
man.
did she
Aw.
grow up here?
No, she grew up in Mexico, She was born here, but she grew up in Mexico. She started when she started high school. She's from the city of Juarez.
I know Juarez. Yeah.
Unfortunately, a city that's been going through a lot the last decade.
Yeah, it was a big drug cartel city.
Huge,
Yeah,
huge.
huge.
And I mean, before the drug war really started 10 years ago, it used to be a very safe city, and that's where she was raised. And but then high school, she started going to high school in El Paso, which is literally across the border.
Just across the border,
every morning they would drive over. And eventually, when she finished high school, she moved to LA and went to FITM, fashion school.
Sure, yeah, I know.
Good for her.
Wow, it's so interesting because in a way, you guys had similar kind
Art.
of foundation in the sense that you both left your home countries in times of turmoil to go to countries that were a little bit more westernized. Then you guys met and you had a different country together.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's amazing. That's such a that's one of my that's a not your typical immigrant story, but it's such a great immigrant story. It's such a that's the other side things that American can give you. It's not just success in business, but love.
Yeah.
Too.
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the greatest things I love about America is that there are so many different kinds of people.
That's
I love it. I love walking around Santa Monica and hearing 7 different languages
Yeah.
go on down the street. I think it's the reason why historically port cities where the boats come in are the most successful cities.
Absolutely.
We're better when we mix our ideas together. It's like ideas are like DNA. If the only ones you use are the same, you come out looking like a pug.
Yeah.
Right? It's good to mix.
But I mean, really, that's really the American story that I always seen is that the diversity that exists here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't matter if you're from Iran or Israel or
Whatever,
or
yeah.
Senegal or Sweden.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, is there any wisdom that you're going to take into your relationship that you got from your mom and Ebby?
Oh my God, yes, absolutely. I mean, looking at them is an inspiration. I mean,
Yeah.
they're so lovey-dovey still.
I love it.
It's
That's
outrageous. It's like sometimes like hey, you guys realize we're at the airport, right? We gotta,
That's great.
no, absolutely. They've supported each other, and they're still like kids.
That's
You know?
great.
And you gotta. I think if anything, it's that keep that. You know, they still do the boo boo hoo hoo, and you know, and I think that's really, you know, beautiful. And I think a lot of people forget that as they grow. Everything becomes so serious. I mean, me myself, you know, the Rafe I am today towards the guy I was 9 years ago when I met Grissel, I'm unfortunately a more serious person today. You know, but it's important to keep that youthful, childish.
100%.
You know,
Yeah, I agree.
and that's if anything, that's what I'm taking with me from them a lot.
Good
Right on.
luck.
Well, I'm so happy
Very
for
good
you.
luck, yeah.
Yeah, man.
This is
Lika
great
till.
story.
Dude, so happy for you. And tack så mycket for coming on the podcast.
Tack
I mean,
själv.
thank you very much. And trevligt att träffas,
Tack detsamma.
which means nice to meet you. Dude, such a great story. I'm so glad Yahel introduced us, and thank you
Same
so
here.
much for being a guest. Is there anything you want to promote for the people that are probably going to fall in love with you after this interview?
Gosh, honestly, I've just Yael, he's the reason I'm here, and he has this influence of always being positive and loving.
He
and,
really
He's a
does.
great
yeah.
man.
Soul
Yeah.
Pump Fitness is studio in is it Westwood?
Yes.
I think it's in Westwood, and they're amazing. It's not just
Yeah.
fitness; it's like body movement and spirituality, and on their shirts it says "Love." It's in you. I love his perspective on not just fitness but on life.
Him and Angie.
Him and Andy,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
they just got pregnant.
Yes,
I can officially say it
yeah,
now,
no,
right?
they work,
Now it's
yeah,
official.
officially we can say it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm really happy
so
when
proud
good
of
when
them.
I'm really happy when good people make more good people.
Yes,
That's it.
yes.
There's not enough of that happening. Bad people make so many babies.
Oh yeah, I know.
So we got to make more.
We got to make
We
more.
gotta-
Good
we gotta-
people,
we
we
gotta
got to, yeah. So you're going to start getting pressure to have babies soon.
Oh,
Watch.
it's already
Yeah.
started.
Yeah, I'm
It's
sure.
already started. Well,
dude,
thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Really, it's been a
Thank you
blast,
so much. It was
and,
really, really
I'm
fun.
Really happy to met yourself and
Me
your beautiful
too,
mom.
me too. Well, listen, before we ended, Yohal and Angie, they have dinner for me as they have it in our home. I love to have you with them.
I would love to
with
be there.
your future wife or fiancé and Wesley too.
I'm taking Wesley. I'm bringing Wesley. with me.
Attaboy, Wes, you got it.
Well, actually, maybe next time you have Wes on the podcast. He's got a hell of a story too.
Where are you from, Wes, originally?
I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah, originally.
Oh, Utah.
Cool.
Yeah.
He's still immigrant, you know.
He's immigrating from Utah to California. That's
That
that's
counts.
an immigration by
Yeah,
itself. You know?
it's a cultural difference.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks so much for listening to another episode. Thanks for all the reviews and comments. Please keep telling your friends. If you're looking for live stand-up comedy, you can follow me at tamerkatan.com. And on Instagram. I'm an English person. Pass the grape upon. On Instagram, you can follow me at tamerkat, and my mom at Kity Kattan.
K-I-T-Y.
K-I-T-Y. She
Kattan.
spelled- Good for you, Mom. You're getting good, kid.
My English second language, but it's first language now.
Atta girl. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.